This is your first meeting at the World Economic Forum for Africa. Give us your impressions in terms of the conversations that you have had with some of the business leaders here, as well as the politicians who have been gathered here, because we do know that President Jacob Zuma was also here.
This may be the first WEF Africa meeting I'm attending, but I'm no stranger to Africa. I travel here very frequently. Also been involved in lots of transactions in and out of Africa. The general mood, if you want, not just at this meeting, but throughout the world, is that Africa's time is arrived. Africa's time has come. The huge amount of positive feeling towards Africa and its prospects.
What's driving it? What's driving this new optimism? Now, it's important because you interact with the people who come for funding to put into businesses here on the continent.
Well, we at Standard Chartered are fortunate because we have been here for 148 years. But you're right, large parts of the world are now discovering the potential of Africa. Why? Number one, it's the second fastest growing continent in the world. Number two, if you look at 7 of the 10 fastest growing countries in the world over the next 10 years, they are going to be from Africa. You look at food security as an issue. 60% of the world's uncultivated arable land is in Africa. Look at resources, whether you talk about oil or gold or platinum or copper, large percentage of the world's reserves are in Africa. But equally, I think there is a big story here about the domestic African growth, large growth in the consumer sector. Think of a company like MTN, which virtually didn't exist 10 years ago. I mean, today it is there with a market cap of well over $20 billion and one of the main players in the telecom sector. And that's a function of the consumer growth in Africa. And last but not the least is the huge amount of infrastructure build out which needs to happen in Africa.
So what does Standard Chartered do in such environment? What are you doing to try and meet this renewed interest, if you like, into Africa?
First of all, we are here in 14 countries. We have 6,000, 7,000 people on the ground. We've been here for 148 years. What are we doing? One is help intermediate the inflow of foreign direct investment into Africa. We advise Bharti of India on the acquisition of Zain Africa. We help Chinese companies like Sinopec come into Africa. Equally, it is about taking African companies out. We have helped SAB Miller expand into India or MTN acquire Investcom. Infrastructure, Djibouti port, financing of that, Bujagali hydroelectric project in Uganda, agriculture. Again, we are just working with Olam, which is a Singapore-based multinational company, in its investments into Gabon and other parts of Africa. And 2 other things I would mention, which is about helping African governments and companies raise capital, whether it's Senegal or Angola or many of these countries which need to raise capital, access bond markets. We help them raise that. Help bring them to new investors. We helped bring Korean investors into African paper.
Right.
And last but not the least, we do a huge amount of capacity building for Africa. 13 of the 14 countries we have in Africa, our operations are headed by a local African. Or some person from Africa is heading 13 of the 14 countries.
Sure.
And if you go across Africa, you'll find a lot of Standard Chartered alumni and very senior positions at other companies as well.
So where do you go from here? You're in 14 African countries, there are 53 of them. What's the future plan for Standard Chartered?
It's about growth, it's about organic growth. Clearly, like everything else, you continuously look at the market and say, which markets do we need to be in that we are not in? So, for instance, last year we opened a rep office in Angola. Like that, we continuously revisit, are there markets that we are not in, some we are not in.
5 more countries in 5 years?
5 and 5 is a good aspiration, and you've given me the objective.
Indeed. What about the strategy that you're using to expand across Africa? Now, we know Standard Chartered is on the ground in some of the countries, but what are you going to do in terms of getting into those countries? Are you looking to acquire? Are you looking to set up from the ground? What's the strategy there?
The fundamental strategy of Standard Chartered globally, not just in Africa, is to build it from the ground. It is about organic growth, build greenfield.
Indeed. Now, I can't let you go without talking about what the South African market talks about all the time. Standard Chartered, a potential suitor for Nedbank. We know Nedbank is for sale. Would Standard Chartered still be looking at Nedbank here in South Africa as a way of getting into the South African market?
I don't want to comment on press speculation, media speculation, but what I will say is, like everywhere else, we've our fundamental strategy as a company is on organic growth, and our South African business continues to do well just based on the organic build out we are doing.